Which noises can be heard? Ooh.
We've all been caught out when we think we've done something silently, when actually...
Footstep volume, jumping, falling damage. Wait, I really like that. I remember asking the question or us having the discussion chat, and now I want to see it again in the chat. What do you think is true? If T and an enemy, if a CT does this, can I hear it? We talked about it. Chat said yes, chat said no. It was literally a 50-50 in the fucking chat, bro. Now everybody says yes. Really, everybody says yes.
Caught out when we think we've done something
I actually
silently,
want to watch this.
when actually everybody else in the room heard the fart loud and clear. But the same can happen in Counter-Strike. So I'll be revisiting this topic with updated information to find out which seemingly silent actions leave an unwanted mark.
I like that
and
video.
how not to follow through with them. You can see written on screen where the audio is from that you can currently hear being played. It will either be listener, indicating it's what another player can hear, or it will be noisy person's audio, in which case the audio will be from the person performing the actions from like a first person perspective. Let's start with something simple. Movement. Yes, that's mostly straightforward, but with a few unexpected twists along the way. Kind of like walking back from the pub. As you might expect, you can hear other players' footsteps when they're running, but not while they're walking or crouching.
True.
Yes, we are starting at this sort of basic level for this video. And it's the same with the ladders. If you climb up them full speed, then you can hear the rungs being clung. But if you're walking or are creeping, then they won't hear you peeping. And here's some examples of it in action.
Or if you're a professional like me, you go sideways, tuck, 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 tuck. Smell me, and you know, I'm telling you, John
Something
Cam,
interesting.
my cam.
Your footstep sounds can be louder for somebody else than they are for you, the person
What
who's
the f*** is you wearing?
making them. I know, I couldn't believe it either, so just listen. And utilising the magic of stereo, I can play both at the same time,
Oh, hell
one
no.
in each ear. In extreme cases like this one, your footsteps can be over 10 decibels louder for somebody else than they are for you. This is like the audio equivalent of your gun sticking round the corner. You will be forever underestimating how much sound your clumpy, cloppy man-hooves are making, which will make you easier to detect than you might think. Yes, all those people you reported for wall hacking might have been genuine when they said they heard your footsteps. Jumping is a different topic though. You can hear a player jump off the ground and also when they land on the ground. Simple enough.
True.
But if they're bunny hopping, you'll only hear the first landing sound. After that, you'll only hear the launches.
ohnepixel, thanks for subbing.
However, if they're jumping up onto something higher than when they started, then you can hear the launch sound, but not the landing. I tested the height this silence would kick in at. I could still hear the landing sound at 8 units, but not
They can
at
hear
12
you
units.
jump. So if you're boosting up, if I'm boosting up middle on vertigo, like the box, if they are close to me, they hear it? What? I didn't know that. Is that why I'm bad at the game?
Which is greater than the height of a properly made stair would be.
What?
So, if you're jumping onto something higher
It must
than
be so silent though. I never hear enemies like jumping up.
a stair, the landing sound won't be there, but the launch sound will still be, so it's difficult, you see. The launch sound is a quieter one though, so it should quickly fade into the background as the distance between you and your secret listener increases. A few things seem to have changed since last time I tested this topic. Previously, crouch jumping was silent, but now all jumps are equal, no matter which buttons you have pressed as you're doing them. The other thing that's changed is the falling damage. Because previously, even if a player took damage from falling too far, the noise that other people would hear would still be the normal landing on ground sound. But this has now been switched out for a more satisfying sound instead. And dying from falling damage sounds just as satisfying as ever.
I love that sound.
Let's move on to water.
This is now important.
Believe it or
This
not.
actually is very important because now we have, of course, Anubis. And in the middle, there's lots of water.
Running through water causes splashy sounds, but if you move slowly, it doesn't. Let's switch to the noisemaker's perspective and audio here. That water in ear sound can't be heard by anybody else.
Okay.
In fact, the first sign to anybody else on the server that you're in the water will be when you start taking drowning damage. Which, can I just say, doesn't sound anything like someone drowning. Speaking of which, this is probably the best chance I'm ever going to get to shout out one of my favourite websites, spotthedrowningchild.com, and you never know when it might come in handy. You have to watch a clip with an unknown amount of build-up,
No one is
it
harmed.
gets tense, and at some point,
No one is harmed.
a child will probably slip off their inflatable ring
Bro,
and start
what?
splashing about. That's what drowning looks like. Not this. Familiarise yourself with this website and who knows, maybe one day you'll be able to save a life. Though probably not because lifeguards are too damn good.
I see him.
Let's move on. Weapons. Yes, to get the obvious out of the way, enemies can hear you firing your gun, even the silenced ones, but the sound of those quickly trails off with distance and soon becomes difficult to hear over the sound of background wind. You can't hear changing weapons.
Yeah.
So you won't reveal your position.
Did we have that discussion? Was it that question? Was that a 50-50? Chat, who thought you could hear this from an enemy? Who thought you could hear this? I think lots of people thought that you could hear that.
By switching to the knife. The exception to this is on Arms Race when you reach the knife stage, which is clearly
Yeah, lots of people say yes. That was the 50-50.
to all players to tell them to watch their backs. But no one plays that game mode, so it doesn't matter. Changing fire mode can be heard,
Makes sense.
as can scoping sniper rifles, and so can swiping with your knife, with either attack mode. Most weapons make a sound
there it
when
is.
reloading,
You can fucking hear it.
with either attack mode.
Interesting.
Most weapons make a sound when reloading, along with an extra sound when the magazine hits the ground. You don't hear the reload after every shot with weapons like the Scout or the AWP, but you do hear the big reload when you finally replace their clip. Weapons like the Negev make a reloading sound but don't drop anything on the floor, and there are even a few weapons which don't make a reloading sound at all. These include the 3 shotguns where you reload each shell manually. The Mag 7, being reloaded in just one clip, still makes a sound.
I did not know that.
But there's another weapon that doesn't have a reloading sound as well, and that's the revolver. Curious.
What? What? Is that a bug? Or is it a feature?
Indeed. Maybe at some point you had to reload the bullets into this weapon one by one, and at least then the revolver would be consistent with the shotguns, which
That's
don't have a
powerful.
reloading sound. But alas, that isn't the case, and so reloading sounds are confusing. Valve has fixed one of the bugs I spotted in 2015, where even if you switched weapons mid-reload, it would still play the whole reload sound. But now when you do it, the reloading sound will stop immediately. This means that, sound-wise, it's beneficial to switch away as soon as the gun has been reloaded, as it cuts off the end of the reload sound, which may help you to avoid detection. I spend a lot of time shitting on CSGO, so let's take a moment to appreciate this game, and the wonderful attention to detail that's been put into these third-person reload animations.
They fixed it, yeah.
That's enough appreciation for one day. Moving on, you can't hear other people's weapon inspects, and you can't see them either. This sort of makes sense because otherwise fancy skins you keep flicking in front of your face could be pay to lose.
We would be in big trouble, chat.
If you chuck an item, then others will hear if it lands on the ground. However, if it's caught before it lands on the ground, then it won't make a sound. If you pick an item up that's on the floor, then it will play the equip sound, unless you're walking at the time. So with a bit of skill, you could be running...
The fuck? Don't tell me you knew that. That's so important to know.
However, if it's caught before it lands on the ground, then it won't make a sound. If you pick an item up that's on the floor, then it will play the equip sound, unless you're walking at the time.
That's
so
so
with a bit of
important.
skill, you could be running along, and provided you press the walk button the moment you pick the weapon up, it will still be done silently without slowing you down too much.
That's the most
Moving on to
obvious.
grenades, you
I
can't
didn't
hear
know.
them being equipped, and most won't even make a sound when their pins are pulled. The exception to this is the Molotov. You can hear this one being set alight. The CT equivalent, being the incendiary grenade, doesn't make a sound when its pin is pulled, which makes the fiery sock of doom the only grenade to make a noise before it's thrown.
Am I
All
stupid?
grenades make a sound when they are eventually thrown, but they might make less noise than you'd expect, since when you throw a grenade you hear the guy on the radio screaming, "Fire in the hole!" But when enemies throw one, you only hear the sound of their arms flopping about or whatever it is that makes that gentle rustling. Getting to the game mode specific actions now, you can hear when an enemy starts planting the bomb, because
Of
otherwise
course.
fake diffusers wouldn't work. But that's the only sound the bombs make, apart from the beeping and the exploding, obviously. Even when a bomb is successfully planted, the only sound the enemies will hear is the radio guy saying that the bomb has been planted, which gives away that the bomb has been planted, but not where it's been planted. Defusing can also be heard by the enemy, because otherwise fake diffusers wouldn't be a thing.
Makes
Hostage
sense.
game mode behaves a bit differently. Terrorists can hear the hostage being picked up, but the sound only lasts for as long as the pickup attempt does. So if you start picking a hostage up but immediately drop him again, then the sound doesn't have time to reach that noisy bit. So fake pickups aren't as effective as fake bomb plants are. Get this, you know that quiet whimpering sounds that hostages make?
So fucking annoying. They can hear that.
Anybody close to you can hear that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Isn't that sweet?
I hate that shit. I get so scared when I hate hostage map, bro. Partly because of that. Because every time I pick up the hostage, I feel like I'm
caught out.
I feel like I'm a walking GPS, bro. It's Jesus. I feel like I'm getting tracked, bro. I hate that. I can't be silent. It's so annoying. W video, no? I enjoyed that.